I'm going to take you on a video tour of Chapter 9's presentation. Our topic this week is teaching to enhance learning and development and what strategies we'll use as teachers. Now, I want to tell you before we get to the presentation that there are some videos that I'm going to be posting inside the presentation that aren't in there yet. They're still processing. But look for that Listen and Learn podcast on some of the slides, especially when we get down to the teaching strategies, and make sure you listen to those. Because they do provide you examples and information that makes this a little more concrete. So we'll start out learning about pedagogy, scary big word, but read the slide and it'll explain to you what it is. It's not so scary after all. Then we'll compare teaching as a science to teaching as an art. And then we're moving into the important stuff, our teaching strategies. So teaching strategies are going to be the tools that you use as a teacher to implement information with our students. So we'll start out just learning about the importance of teaching strategies. We have a little visual here. And then we're going to basically look at the difference between a teaching strategy and a learning strategy. So we're focusing on teaching strategies and read through the next couple slides. And then we're going to get to this slide where we're looking at learning experiences that are teacher-initiated versus child-initiated. And there's a video for each one, and you can see how learning is happening in each video, but one is initiated by the teacher and one is initiated by the child. And I'd like you to make some thoughts in your head about which one would be more powerful. Do you need both in a classroom? And which one do you favor? I'm not going to have you post that, but just be thinking about that as you watch each of the videos. What do you see happening more in your classroom? You'll find that teaching is a blend of teaching strategies. You have to have both the teacher-initiated and the child-initiated. You have to have different experiences, whole group, small group, individual. You have to have active learning and quiet learning. And so we blend these all together and we come up with this. Now this looks very daunting, I know, but there's a lot on this slide. This is a matching activity. We talked about sorting a lot, and we're going to do a little sort here where at the bottom in the circle there is a teaching strategy, and at the top in the rectangle you have a match. The match includes a definition and when you would use this. I want you to jot down some answers, and you don't have to jot down everything when you put the definition and the use. The definition is enough. The use is more for you just to understand. Some of you also might want to take a screenshot of this, and you could even print it out and manipulate it from there. I didn't do that because and some of you just don't like to do that. So you can do that at any point. You can take a screenshot and print it out, or you can just look at it. Once you have your answers, I want you to Dropbox them on D2L for your participation. And then what you're going to do is after you Dropbox them, go on to the next slide. And this is a video that will explain each one of the answers to you, and it will kind of give you a little bit more information about each of the strategies. So this is kind of the answers for you and a little bit of a learning activity. You'll find that one of the main strategies, probably one of the most important, is something called scaffolding, and you see a picture of building scaffolding right there. And scaffolding is that just right, not too easy, not too hard. We call it the Goldilocks effect. And so read through this slide, and then really importantly, I'd like you to see this example of scaffolding in action. This is something where we see what happens in a classroom with the model called I do, you watch, I do, you help. You do, I help, you do, I watch. And so that gradually releasing the control to independence, and that's a big part of scaffolding. Then we also have a video of scaffolding, so you can see this in action again in a classroom, and you'll notice that there's some other teaching strategies that we learned about that are being combined here, and that's very common. We're going to have that blending of strategies. And scaffolding looks different for each of our learners because you're always scaffolding what each child needs. So check that out in this video. Then we're going to move on to our key principles. There are three main key principles to early childhood teaching and learning, and this is listed here. I'm going to break each of these down. So we start with these three, and you're going to see them broken down over the next couple slides. So the first one is making learning meaningful. There will be a podcast on this page over here. You can check that out in just a little bit. And then the next strategy is developing concepts. And there's 3 slides on developing concepts. One is on classification. There'll be a podcast on each one of these. I'll put it up in the top corner here, so look for it. Also watch the video so you can see it in action. Getting visual, and manipulating. And each one of those will have a podcast and a video for you to watch. Then we move into how do we promote higher level thinking. And we have planning and reflecting. So read through that slide. We have reciprocal teaching, and I added a definition of what it looks like. The definition and then what it looks like. And there's a video so you can see that in action. That's a really powerful strategy in a classroom. And then using inquiry-based learning. And again, there's a video for you to see this in action. So I want you to then, now that you've learned about all these teaching strategies, I want you to go back into your own successes or failures in school. We know that success comes for these 3 reasons right here. So read through those. And then I want you to think about when you have encountered successes or failures. And then we're going to make some connections. You're going to go to the Padlet board and you're going to share a time where you forgot something that you learned. And then you're going to share a time where you remembered something you learned. And I want you to compare why the experiences were different and if teaching strategies had any basis on why you forgot or remembered. I can give you a lot of times where I forgot things and I remembered things, and I know it really does boil down to how the material was presented to me, whether I made connections to it, and did I like the material. So I'd like to hear about your experiences. Share those on the Padlet board for us this week. Next, we're going to talk about grouping strategies, how we select how our children work, and we talk about the whole group, and we talk about the small group, and we talk about individual learning opportunities. And one of those grouping activities, kind of branch out a little bit further, is learning centers. And I know all of you have observed learning centers in the classrooms that you're in for your observational hours. So this is kind of a quick review of what is a learning center. And then I thought it'd be neat for you to find some learning centers that you love. So I broke it down to 3 links. One is preschool learning center ideas, one is science learning centers, and one is math learning centers. I'd like you to click on each of the phones and browse through the ideas. And then on our Padlet board, click right here and share a learning center that you loved. And that way our group kind of sees the highlights from what you found. Then we move into the power of play. And I think this is a good review because a lot of you included a wonderful information and ideas on play in your newsletters last week. And I really enjoyed the activities you shared. And I know you know that play is powerful, but play is sometimes not understood as a big learning experience. And the play that we're talking to specifically in our presentation today is more of the dramatic play, where we're allowing them to act out in that pretend way. So we're going to talk about what are the things that we learn through play. Here's some content that can be learned through play centers. And I love using dramatic play centers with my students. I find that it's the easiest way to integrate reading and writing and math and science and get them doing it even though they don't even know they're learning. And it comes out later on in how we extend our play centers. But most importantly is how the teacher involves themselves in play. And it really is on a continuum from the very uninvolved teacher that's not in the center and not even watching to the teacher that is the director and takes over. So read through those. And then when you take out those 2 extremes, you take out the uninvolved and you take out the director, you're left with 4 main roles that teachers play in play. So this is another sort. At the top, we have a headline, and then we have an incorrect definition at the bottom. So what I'd like you to do is decide how you would match them up, and then check them on the next slide. I'm going to skip over that. Make sure you Dropbox your answers, though, to each of those, so I know you understand the definition. And then you get to do a try it out. So what you're going to do is click on our Educanon video right here, and it will take you to an external link. You're going to watch each of the video segments, and at the end of the segment, you're going to be asked 2 questions. You're going to, number 1, identify the role of the teacher. So which one of those 4 roles did they play in the video? And then the second part is what skills you think they learned through play. You'll Dropbox those answers for credit. So enjoy those short little videos. And we'll wrap it up with technology. And I know your book really advocates for technology. What I'd like you to do is some critical thinking. I want you to click on this article right here. There is a link to an AC article, and it looks at technology and young children. I want you to read through very quickly the examples that are given. And then I want you to read in your textbook page 301 to 303. I want you to make a decision. Are you pro-technology? Are you anti-technology? What are some limits or guidelines you think? This is a real hot topic right now in education, and we see centers really going to both extremes of how much or how little technology that they allow their children to use. So I'd like you to Dropbox just a quick little statement of what you learned about technology and what you would prefer in your own center if you were making some decisions with technology. And we move on to our weekly assignments. We have a new project, and it's really, I think it's our last observation hours actually, and you're going to be evaluating the effective teaching strategies of the program that you're observing in. And so there is a checklist and a handout this week on D2L, so make sure you have those handy and watch the video intro. The due date for your 2 observation hours are April 18th. And your weekly assignments. We have 2 Padlet boards on slide 26 and 33. We have 4 drop boxes, slide 11, slide 38, slide 40, and slide 42. And then you need to arrange to go in and do your 2 hours for the effective teaching strategy observation and skim over chapter 10 for next week. We are plugging along and getting closer to the end of this semester, so make sure you're hitting your due dates for everything as well as you can, because we still have some things to finish over the course of the semester, and we're getting into some really exciting things next week. So good luck, and let me know if you have any questions, and we'll connect soon.